What's going on, everybody? Jack Acid with ApexHead.com, bringing you the first episode of the F1 2013 I Am No Expert Career Mode series, and we are starting this season with Lotus, kicking things off here at Melbourne in Australia, and just taking a quick look at our tires. Going to go out on the prime tires for Q1, and here at the end of lap 2, able to get up into P2, and that's probably going to be enough to sit in the garage and camp, and sure enough, have no problems getting into Q2. You can see getting bumped down. But of course we only have to be in the top 16 or so to make Q2. So now going out on the option tires, and haven't had a lot of time to experiment with the tire wear, but I have heard that it's much more unforgiving than in seasons past, or I should say games past. So going in here, currently running P6 and going to watch the monitor. And we've already burned our tires down to 83%, currently running P11. And going to be content with that result to start off the season, even though, of course, having the disappointing conversation with the engineer. Don't want to risk any more tire wear. Currently running on professional difficulty. That's something else that I've heard has changed a bit. I have heard that the AI is significantly more challenging than last year's release, so we'll see how that goes as the season progresses. Taking a quick look at the starting grid, Sebastian Vettel on pole position. And only real surprise here, Jenson Button down in P17, so the form of the McLaren showing up early. That's been the big surprise this year. Charles Peak at the back of the grid. Let's see what we can do. Taking a quick look at our strategy, we are starting off on the options. 100% of course, a fresh set, and going to change our race fuel strategy to normal. And let's see if that's any different from last year. It seemed like you could kind of abuse the normal fuel setting. And we'll see if that's still true for this year. So starting off here behind Daniel Ricciardo in the Toro Rosso, line up next to Bottas in the Williams. And here we are to start. Pretty good start, actually. Here comes Sergio Perez in the McLaren. He's going to be able to get by on the inside. Let's see what happens coming down into turn 1. Very, very slow. Able to find some real estate and slice our way through. Can't get around Bottas. And now Ricciardo breathing down our neck, almost wheel to wheel. And looks like we got a little bit of room. Going to go ahead and move over and take our position here at P9. Let's see if we can make up more ground here at turn 3. And some contact from behind, falling in behind the Ferraris, who are now lined up wheel to wheel. And Fernando Alonso getting around Felipe Massa, wheel to wheel with Massa coming around. And we are able to squeeze out P6, or are we? Yes, we are. Very, very tight corner. And aggressive move on my part, but want to take advantage of the very close gaps here early on. And able to get up into P6, trying to chase down Fernando Alonso, and chasing him down to one of my least favorite chicanes in the game, turn 9, also known as Clark. And you can see why, going wide here into the gravel. And Raikkonen, our teammate, who's falling behind in P7, not able to take advantage. So pretty surprising that did not lose a position there. And you can see the gaps expanding a great deal already. The story last year in professional difficulty for me was that it seemed like I could hold a pretty decent position, but I definitely had a hard time catching up with the AI and spent most of my races fending them off. So I'd like to see that be a little bit different this year. As you can see, getting some corners wrong here, but fortunately not losing any positions. But you can see that Raikkonen has cinched up the gap as we come around the second to final corner, also known as Prost, which in seasons past has given me a hard time. I'm definitely better at it than I used to be. As long as I'm not going into the grass, I'm happy. So here at the end of lap 1, taking a quick look at our fuel, only an extra lap, and we are just over 2.5 seconds behind Fernando Alonso. And I've got a feeling that gap will continue to expand. So now you can see there's a car in the pit that looks like Sebastian Vettel. And we are up into P5 as a result of that. Sebastian Vettel must have had some kind of a problem with a tire or a wing, I'm assuming. But we will be happy to pick up the spoils and get up into P5 here as we come down into Whiteford. And you can see here on lap 4 already have pretty significant tire wear. And dropping a wheel onto the grass, and that's going to cost me all kinds of problems into the gravel. Another difficult corner for me, Whiteford. And Kimi Raikkonen cinching up the gap and now breathing down our gearbox. Let's see if we can stay ahead of our teammate. And we are able to gain control, and you can see that I've got 2 cars breathing down my neck, so any mistake from this point forward is definitely going to cost me at least 2 positions, as you can see, losing all kinds of time in Sector 1, but now able to get the gaps expanded back out just a little bit to give ourselves a little bit of breathing room. So here at the end of lap 4, and another car in the pit, this looks like Mark Webber, and so I'm not sure if the Red Bull strategy is to pit early. You can see that my tires are pretty well shot. And so maybe they've gone in to get their tires early on, and that's what's caused the early pit stops for the Red Bull. But I'm going to be anxious to get onto the prime tires. So obviously the tire wear warnings that I've been told definitely coming true so far early on. here at the start of lap 5. Looks like we're going to lose another position. That looks like Sebastian Vettel, and now Daniel Ricciardo getting in on the action. And he may or may not have gone into pit. Remember, he did start ahead of us. And so it's very, very possible that he's actually already gone in for tires. We'll have to wait and see how things go. So here at the end of lap 6, overtaking our teammate, getting up into P7. And let's see if we can beat Felipe Massa. Coming into turn 1, going to be close and cutting on the inside. Very daring move on my part. And Felipe Massa probably not real happy with me as I buzz by. But so far so good. More cars here in the pit lane up into P5 here at the start of lap 8. And things shaping up pretty nicely here at the start of the season. So now the strategy, hoping to catch up with some of the leaders. And you can see having more problems here at turn 9. And that's going to cost me any kind of a chance to catch Nico Rosberg up into P5. But here coming around the start of lap 12, you can see another car in the pit, and that's Sebastian Vettel. So maybe Sebastian Vettel and Red Bull relying on a two-stop strategy all along. That might have been why he pit so early on. And that's definitely different from 2012 or the games before. Rarely would you see two-stop strategy on a 25% race length. But that seems to be the case. You can see Felipe Massa just behind us now with Kimi Räikkönen, one spot behind him. And so trying to keep them in my rear view mirrors for just a few more laps. But you can see skipping ahead to lap 13 and Felipe Massa giving me all kinds of problems coming up to my favorite sets of corners on the circuit and losing time in sector 2. And Felipe Massa not able to get around. My tires are feeling a little bit more slippery now, but we're going to have to make it work somehow, some way. And let's see if we can get this corner right. Also have problems and into the gravel. And able to stay ahead of the Ferrari, or can we? Felipe Massa now wheel-to-wheel coming around the second to final corner, and he goes off into the gravel. And inadvertently pushed Felipe Massa wide and losing my focus here as a result of that. Feeling spooked by the whole encounter. And here comes Sebastian Vettel on the outside, and he's able to overtake us easily. Some wheel spin coming out of the exit. And the race now falling apart here at the start of lap 14. Desperation sinking in as we're dropped down into P5. Trying to track down the German here under sunny skies at Albert Park. And trying to make a move here at turn 1 and losing our braking point altogether and into the gravel. And here comes the Iceman. Double retirement narrowly avoided, but that's not going to help me. Trying to get back on track, and you can see getting overtaken by a number of cars. There goes Mark Webber in the Red Bull. And we are dropped down into P8 when it's all said and done. A very ugly sequence. Fortunate to only lose 3 positions. But tires worn off now. That was obviously extremely upsetting. Turning up our fuel mix here late in the race, but not going to do us any good as we maintain a P8 position. But it's not over yet. Sergio Perez in the McLaren, anxious to get around, and you can hear that I'm having some problems getting grip as I try and put down the throttle. And let's see if Sergio Perez is going to have the pace to get around us. He will not, and we will finish in P8 after starting in P11. And I apologize, my capture cut off there at the end of the race, but as you can see, the race results here, going to have to be satisfied. Would have been a much better result if we could have maintained that P4 or P5 finish, but this is going to have to do to start. And let's face it, lucky to get out of here with a couple of points given my spin out. Could have been much worse, but I'll hope that this will be something that I can build on heading into round 2 in Malaysia, at which time I hope you'll join me. Thanks again for watching, and I'll hope to see you then.